Welcome back to episode 50 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. We've got a new World Series champion. Baseball season is over. That sucks. I don't know what I'm going to do now until March, but we'll figure it out. And you guys are going to figure it out the hard way. What a crappy World Series that was. Wow.
I mean,
It was over before it even started.
yeah, but not. That was what I wanted to see as a Phillies fan, and I'm sure you as a Dodgers fan, you wanted to see the D-backs get kicked in the nuts.
I wanted to see
That's
my
how I
team in
felt.
there.
Well, yeah, but the second best option is the team that knocked you out. See them get.
And they did.
Yeah,
They got kicked in the nuts pretty good.
it was not really close.
No, and yesterday, Game 5 was your typical Dodgers game right there. If you want to know what Dodger postseason baseball is like in the last 10 years, you just watch Game 5 of the 2023 World Series and only pay attention to the Diamondbacks. That's very Dodger-esque. That's what they do.
Well, I think they'd give up more runs if Clayton Kershaw was on the mound than just.
Oh,
zero
okay, we're
problem.
going to do that now. We're going to do that. We're going to do that now.
That was low hanging fruit. That was a cheap shot.
Wasn't hang.
I'm
I'll
sorry.
give you. No. It's a hanging fruit. I'll give you that. It's okay. We got like 30-something to get you back, so.
Fair enough.
In all fairness, you did make up for the, Zach Gallen already has selling your tickets, so I guess we're even
Yeah.
now.
True. But yeah, not a fantastic World Series, I wouldn't say.
That was winter ball.
Pretty much. I mean, Corey Seager won MVP. He had a couple big home runs, but it wasn't like he was lighting up the series, I wouldn't say. Like, he hit like
He only batted
211
260.
in the 260, something like that,
Something
in the
like
World
that.
Series. It was in the 200s, so it was like, He didn't really dominate. Injuries to Adelise, I would like to see him and finish the series out. Max Scherzer, might be
Nah,
time
he's
to hang
fine.
it up, buddy.
Took a lot of joy seeing him walk off the mound in Game 3. Quitting on his team in the biggest moment. What else is new? He's the James Harden of Major League Baseball.
Big nutsack Nate Evaldi, he closed out the game dipping and dodging between trouble there. Your former guy, both of your former guys. Kyle, make you happy to see him get a chip? And Monty.
Yeah, so Evaldi is like
And Chapman.
okay,
And Chapman.
okay now and Andrew Heaney as well, by the way. So don't get too cute there because Chapman, Heaney, they can go. Yeah, I really don't care. But no, I was extremely happy for Montgomery. Montgomery was my guy when he was in New York. I think what the Yankees did to him was dirty. Evaldi, he pitched for the Red Sox, so it's a little bit of a stinger there for me. But no, I'm happy for both those guys, and yeah. I mean, I'm with you on this, guys. I mean, this World Series was not anything special, I don't think. It was cool to see somebody new. It was cool to see one of those teams get off the list, of teams that never won a World Series. I'm happy for Corey Seager, man. I really am. I love his game. He's turning into one of my favorite players. I love watching him play. Yeah, I mean, my prediction of, snakes in 7, that was kind of shitty looking back on it now. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy for those guys. Yeah, we'll see where it takes them next year. But
This is why you spend money, guys. I mean,
yeah, it doesn't always work
hey,
out. Just remember that.
Yeah.
well,
You just saw it yourself with Trey Turner.
I'll take what we paid for him. I'm good with that. See,
Okay.
I guess I'm one of the 3 in this podcast who has decent experience with spending money because I went out and got Harper and Castellanos and Schwarber and Trey Turner, signed all of them to huge contracts, and it's better than some of the trades or acquisitions your teams have made. But I mean, back to the point. the Rangers, you're willing to spend money. I mean, you got your guys, and Corey Seager, Marcus Semion's how you started it all, and then reinforce the pitching with DeGrom, even though he didn't really pitch in more than like 6 games this year. And then you signed other complementary pieces around him. That was enough to shore it up. Brought in Max Scherzer, and they didn't pitch too many games for the Rangers either, but you got to be willing to spend the money. That's one of my bigger takeaways from this series is more times out of not, until you get a Chris Bryant, it's going to pay off. And I'm really glad, because I thought Corey Seager was going to be the next Chris Bryant, or whichever happened first. I don't know if Bryant was before Seager maybe, but I'm glad, because I really thought he was just going to disappear off the face of the earth and not play playoff baseball at all anymore and not play meaningful games, and because he's not a big personality guy. So you see him sign in Texas, and it's like, well, Texas hasn't done anything good recently. They've been really bad, 100 lost seasons, and here he is, his second World Series MVP, joins a pretty elite list. He's the 4th player ever to have 2. I think he might be the first one ever to have one in both leagues. Not sure, but I'm pretty sure.
I think that's right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the first one to have one in both leagues, so that's pretty cool for him. But yeah, happy for all those guys, because Rangers were in a bad spot not that long ago.
Yeah, and there's a lot of likable guys on this team. And I think you saw that throughout the postseason. And before I continue on, for you people out there who gave Matt and I crap for picking the Rangers to win the series because maybe we were salty Dodger and Phillies fans, right here, okay, okay, right here. We wanted to get it right, okay? We wanted to get it right, and we did. We just didn't get the games right. But continuing on, I'd speak for Matt and I on that, so he flipped you off too. So, this was a very fun team to watch, and there was a lot of likable guys, and you said it. And there was a lot of Dodger fans. A little too much for my taste. They were way too happy for Corey Seager yesterday. All right, we didn't win the World Series, okay? Okay? Corey Seager did. And he's with the Rangers now. And he didn't want to be here. However that true is. But, this is a fun team. This is a destination to go. If you're going to keep this core together and you have Bruce Bochy as your manager, I know it's crazy right now. They just won. But who says that they're not going to be in the mix for the next couple seasons now? This is a fun team to watch, and they're only going to build off of this.
They have the pieces there. I mean, you won't be getting DeGrom back, I don't think, even next year. So it's a little way out, but there's the pieces there. And there's a nice core group, like you said, that there's no reason why they shouldn't be back in the playoffs. I mean, we all know how hard it is to repeat or even make it back to the World Series back-to-back years, but there's no reason they shouldn't be competing for the division. And when it comes time for season predictions this year, nobody's gonna be thinking I'm out of my mind for saying 90 wins could be a ceiling for this team now, because it seems like a reasonable expectation. Before we move on to the D-backs, Kyle, you got anything else on the Rangers?
No, I don't think so. I think you guys hit it pretty well.
All right, D-backs.
D-bags.
I liked what you did in the final 2 games of the World Series. First inning, Corbin Carroll, I think he gets a walk to get on first, and then steals second base right away. You were playing D-backs ball right there. I mean, you're trying to set the tone, you're trying to crank up the intensity, put the pressure on right away, score the first run, because statistically in the playoffs, the team that scores first does win a lot of the games. So you're trying to put the pressure on Texas right away, and sort of worked. I mean, the pressure was always on them, but I mean, Evaldi spinned a masterpiece there. Gallen, no hitter through like 5 innings, whatever it was. He pitched a gem, which you hadn't been able to count on so far in the postseason from him. So I don't think you're too frustrated with yourself as a D-backs fan. Like, obviously, it's tough losing the World Series, but like, your brighter days are probably ahead of you. When you look at the core pieces of this team, they're all really young, and a lot of them are like locked up already. The important pieces are already signed. So go out there. I think Gallen's in arbitration, or he will be. So whatever you got to do, extend him, keep him around, and whatever, fill in the gaps of guys like Longoria, whether he's coming back to play again, whether he's coming back to play again, period, or he's coming back to play again as a Diamondback. Whatever you got to do, fill some of those holes. I think you got to like where you're at as a D-backs fan, because you're a very young team. No one thought you were making it this far. I just think you got to be impressed and pretty proud of how far you made it when the expectations were so low coming into the season.
They were a year or two ahead of schedule. This Diamondbacks team is, well, it's here now because, look, they're the reigning NL champs, and they got to the World Series. They're way ahead of schedule, and they're going to be a problem in this division. You know, let's see what happens. You know, let's see what the Dodgers are still cream of the crop, whether you want to admit it or not. They win the NL West every year. I understand they flame out in the postseason every year, but if you want the NL West, you do got to go to the Dodgers, which doesn't really say much anymore. But, you know, let's see what the Padres do this offseason. We'll probably touch on that at the end. Rockies are no good. Giants are not really good right now, so if you're a Diamondbacks fan, yeah, you should feel good about yourself because you came off of a season where, yeah, the expectations were not that high. You exceeded them by a mile. And a lot of these guys that you may have had question marks, a lot of the young guys you had question marks maybe coming into the season, now you're pretty for sure that, yeah, this is the core that we want to build around. And this is the core that we want. Just... Again, I'm going to be telling myself this all winter. I can't believe that this Diamondbacks team got this far. Not saying that they didn't deserve to be here. I'm not saying that. They beat the Brewers, they beat the Dodgers, and they beat the Phillies fair and square. And they played their asses off, and they deserve to be in the World Series. But I'm going to keep telling myself that. Like, how did the 83 win Arizona Diamondbacks get to the World Series and, you know, flame out? But they're going to be fine. And I heard a lot of quotes in the locker room after the game. It's like none of those players were really down. It was like we were in the World Series when, you know, nobody thought we'd even get this far. So things are going to get better, and I think the Diamondbacks should be proud of themselves and their fans.
Kyle?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm definitely with you guys on this. My only hope is that this isn't just a one-time thing. I want this team consistently in the hunt every single year. This team is so exciting to watch. I think they played a damn good brand of baseball all through the playoffs. Of course, not the World Series, but you know, this team battled constantly. And there's unexpected guys coming up, doing their thing. The guys who are supposed to be doing their job are doing it. You know, I mean, this team is good, man. And I want to continue to see this. My biggest thing is I want to see free agents wanting to come to Arizona. I think that would be the cool, like, just seeing, I don't know. Let's just throw a guy like Cody Bellinger out there. This is not my prediction, but I'm just saying. Imagine the hype around like Cody Bellinger signing with Arizona. You know what I mean? I mean, that's something that's good for the sport, something that's good for Arizona and its fans.
He is from Arizona.
That I want to see it, man. I want to see these big name free agents having Arizona in the mix. I really do. But yeah, this team should be proud of themselves. They have a damn good core to work around. They just got to keep it up and don't get down. Just you weren't supposed to be there. Just build off of it, and I think they'll be all right.
Exactly. I mean, I don't say Arizona is known to be cheap, but they're not known to be big spenders, is how I would put it.
Yeah.
I mean, they signed Corbin Carroll to a $100 million deal. They're willing to spend some money. I mean, they signed Zach Greinke to a pretty handsome deal at the time. So they have a history of getting some free agents. I definitely think, and this is not baseball related, but I think Arizona is becoming a more destination type feel. It used to sort of be just the desert, and now it's sort of feeling, I mean, hey, we were out there. It is pretty nice out there. I'll say that. But like, especially, you always hear Scottsdale and Phoenix are some of the fastest growing cities in the U.S. or like nicest places that are still under, whatever population. So I think that it could definitely become a nice place because for free agents to sign, because you see the success they have and you see the culture. I got to give props to Torey Lovello. I think he's a very, very underrated manager in this league. Insert Shaq meme. I apologize. I was not familiar with your game because, I mean, sure, managers, how much do they matter, whatever you want to say nowadays. But, like, he was always professional and he was relatable in the media. He was not, I don't feel like, I didn't get the typical manager vibes from him. He seems like a great guy, a great leader for that clubhouse. So I think he fits them well, and it's good for him. He's stuck it out through the not so great, not all of the not so great years, but some of the more recent not so great years there in the desert. So good for him. And I would love to see some free agents seek out the Diamondbacks and be like, hey, we have interest, make it work.
Yeah, and he outmanaged the genius in Craig Counsell. He outmanaged the robot in Dave Roberts. And he outmanaged Rob Thompson, who he was in Philadelphia. He was God until Game 6 of the championship series this past year.
Wow. Game
Yeah,
3.
Game
maybe.
3, yeah. But the point is, it's like he took down some pretty big guys in this business, and they could have fired him 2 years ago when they were losing 100 games, and they chose not to. A lot of other teams would have got rid of him a long time ago.
I think it was you see it a little bit more, like the Orioles held on to Brandon Hyde through their desolate times and now to their pretty good times. So it pays off if you're a guy who's able to weather the storm, so to say, and you're willing to take some of those shots because you have at least some faith in your organization turning it around. Now, if I was the manager of the Rockies, I'm not sure I'd want to stick out that job because their front office doesn't seem to have interest in winning. But you see places like Arizona, even Texas. Like, I know they didn't stick with Chris Woodward, I think was a manager before Bochy, but I would have been, as a manager, I would have been like, hey, this seems like they're actually trying to turn it around. We got good guys in the front office. Historically, this is a place that will spend money. So I think as a whole for Major League Baseball and franchises going forward, I don't want to say it's the template being set or the blueprints, but like you sort of see, get the right guys in management, guys who are willing to spend money and develop your prospects. They had a little mix of trades, a lot of signings, but there were still some guys like Josh Young. They brought him up, developed him up, and he's a key piece of their team. Even guys like Adelise. Now, you can't say probably that you saw this much in him when you stole him from the Cardinals or picked him up off waivers, but still, there's something there to believe in him, to think he was worth the roster spot at the time. He's basically homegrown, in my book at least. He's close enough. So I think the Rangers sort of did lay the template a little bit. Like I said earlier, spend money. As long as it's smart, it's going to pay off, hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah, and that World Series last night for Texas, that was for a lot of former players that did not get to experience that. That's for Nelson Cruz. That's for Josh Hamilton. That's for Cole Hamels. That's for you, Darvish. That's for Joey Gallo. That's for all those guys that were on some
Beltre.
pretty damn good teams. Beltre, that's another one I was trying to think of him. That's for Pudge, whether you like him or not. Millions of that Nolan Ryan, I guess he was a Ranger, if you want to put him in there. But Ron Washington had to suffer through 2 straight years. With the Giants and the Cardinals. And Nelson Cruz, you are finally forgiven. And he retired today. So
Yes. He felt the weight off his shoulders. That's why he was
Yes.
like, I could finally retire.
he can finally retire and he doesn't have to see that stupid clip anymore. Well, I mean, you're still going to see it, but it's like, it has new meaning. Like, all right, well, they won. So it's like, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Elvis Andrews.
Yeah, there you go. Mike Napoli. That was a guy I always remembered
Mike
on that Rangers. Mike Napoli.
Rudnit Odor, that's for you too.
Odor. I mean, who else?
Vladdy
We're
Sr.
full on in the weeds here.
Isaiah Kiner Falefa, Jose Trevino, Willie Calhoun. Shall I go on?
Oh, Mike.
You know, pretty much all the guys who the Yankees.
Michael Young.
Michael Young. That's a good one. Phillies and Dodgers legend Michael Young right there.
Yes.
You guys got anything else on the series? Because I mean, this is episode 50. We're putting a bow on the whole season here too, I guess. Kyle? No?
I don't think so. No. I mean, I think we covered everything. Congrats to the Rangers. Diamondbacks, just don't fold. Just keep doing what you're doing. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Like I said, bow on the season here. I'm sort of thinking next episode, we said we wanted to do this before. Maybe take a look back at some of our best and worst hits. We're playing the hits and owning up for some of our takes that we took throughout the season. We're not Stephen A here. We don't or Mad Dog. We don't just ignore what we said. We'll go back and take a look at some of our best and worst takes. And I mean, we're diving into free agency then at this point. So a couple moves
Shohei
already
Ohtani.
sort of made. That's yeah, we're gonna be Shohei Ohtani talking every single episode,
Yes.
pretty much. But Max Muncy back to the Dodgers, little 2-year contract there. Melo was
Yeah.
so happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
Don't
me
you
a
hear
guy
the,
who bats under 200 and strikes out 300 times a year. I love that.
Hey, we have the ideal guy for that.
Yeah,
The-
that's true. You have
There are
Schwarber.
some guys who do work like that. We mentioned Joey Gallo a little bit ago.
Mm,
At one point in his career,
thank you. Thank
the
you.
Rangers, the Rangers point, not the Yankees point, not the Twins point, the Rangers point. But so yeah, we'll be into free agency soon. We'll probably throw some fun things in here in between because there's definitely will be some slow weeks, slow news cycles. But yeah, episode 50. Round of applause for us. I mean, 50 episodes. That's pretty good right there. Thank you guys for all listening and stuff and tuning in because it was a good year for Around the Diamond. In case you guys, your fans did not notice, it was a good year for Around the Diamond. So
Yes, it was. Made a lot of enemies this year. Made a lot of enemies this year.
that's a Dodgers.
Shout
fan.
out
I
to-
mean,
Shout out to all the death threats, all the hate messages. Appreciate it.
Whoa.
Appreciate it, guys. But yes, it was a very good year for us. We went to Arizona, which is where this all started, and ironically it ended in Arizona.
It's the way the world works sometimes, I'm telling you.
Yes.
Yeah, and lots of
Cooperstown did a lot of
exactly.
stuff.
Cooperstown. Hit over 20,000 followers on Instagram. So looking to continue growing that, and lots of new kinds of content coming at you this off season, and even spilling over into next season as well. So we'll be right there. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be posting still every day, 2 or 3 times a day probably, grinding it out for you. Kyle's going to be writing those blogs you guys like to eat up in the mornings while you're drinking your coffee.
Always.
All you old people, apparently. Melo's going to be
keep dumping on the
bringing-
Angels.
Exactly. So you can count on us to keep up what we've been doing, and even getting better. So that's gonna put a wrap on the whole season. Episode 50 in the books. Like I said, thank you guys, appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
Adios.